against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, medic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. My mistake, guys. I did set going live to 12:15 p.m., not 12:15 a.m. I apologize. I'm in Los Angeles right now, so a bit of a mix-up in terms of the time changes. That's why you see me in this dark hotel room, but I am well lit, so there is good news, I guess. Anyways, today's news, guys, we're gonna cover a lot. We have a look into it. Remember a couple weeks ago, guys, there's this news coming out of Oman that they were gonna invest $1.1 billion into mining infrastructure. Well, it looks like our friends over at Luxor did an analysis of what that that entailed. And also, we're also going to talk about the richest man in Mexico. And he recently did an interview with Natalie Brunell. And I'm talking about the third richest man, by the way. His name is Ricardo Salinas. And once again, he has increased his Bitcoin position. And also, comedian Bill Burr calls out the Federal Reserve and the debasement of the dollar. So it looks like the Bitcoin echo chamber continues to break. People are starting to question what is money. I remember I was checking into my room last night, into the hotel, and I remember the people at the lobby were talking about that they were just having a conversation. Like, look, life is good, man, but like, holy cow, this inflation thing. And again, like, think about it. Like, what is the probability that I'm there at that specific time to hear that type of conversation on the side? And I feel like people are enduring this everywhere. And we covered an article that came out in reference to 61% of Americans, according to CNBC, are living paycheck to paycheck. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Also, breaking news. We'll have more follow-up news for you guys next week. Ripple acquires crypto-focused chartered trust company Fortress Trust, and McShane from Bitcoin Magazine tagged CEO Corey Clipston, and he said, how will this affect customer Bitcoin deposits at Swan? Corey replied and said, near term, no change. Fortress Trust will be run as an autonomous unit. Midterm, we'll have some news out very, very soon. So also, full disclosure, Swan is a partner of Simply Bitcoin, and I work at the company also. I'm part of the media. So we'll keep you guys in the loop as always, like what we've always advocated for on Simply Bitcoin. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin. If you don't like what's going on, that's what I would advise. It's good to trust minimize regardless of the situation, regardless of who your broker is, who your custodian is. You should really trust yourself with your money, especially if you don't like what's going on externally. Anyways, I want to bring up my legendary co-host, always optimistic. How you doing, Opti?
I'm doing wonderful. It is Friday. I feel good. Actually, full disclosure, I drank too much coffee this morning, guys, so I'm probably going to go absolutely bananas on today's show. But hey, it is what it is. Hey, everyone's trolling me on my lack of a mustache. Guys, I cannot grow facial hair. Chill out in the chat. anyways, let's bring in our guest today. Vox, how you doing? We got a Bitcoiner. As we say all the time on the show, we bring on Bitcoiners from all walks of life, from the biggest names to the everyday Bitcoiner. So you already know we're going to go down his Bitcoin story, how he became a Bitcoiner. And he told me, at least tweeted at us last night, that he's been reading Lynn Alden's new book. So we'll probably get some thoughts on that. And then maybe some thoughts on what he thinks is the best way to orange pill. So anyways, Vox, how you doing? I know you got your cold brew over there. I hope you get just as jacked as I will on today's show.
We'll see. I'm gonna let you have. I don't want to step on your energy. I'll try to juice you up here. It's 6 a.m. here in Hawaii, so
let's go.
I'm trying to get to your energy levels here.
Well, good to have you, bro.
Ooh, I thought I was early here in LA, bro. I was like, damn, Simply Bitcoin at 9:15 in the morning. That's different. But at 6 in the morning in Hawaii, holy cow, dude. Holy cow. Anyways, it's going to be a great show, guys. No more delay. Let's jump straight into numbers. We got a lot to talk about.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 25,845 sats per dollar, 3,869, block height 806,759, blocks to halving 33,241, halving estimates April 21st, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity 4,752 Bitcoin. Capacity value 122 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation 1.75%. The market capitalization of Bitcoin $503 billion with the B. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 3.93%. And before we go to the video that we're going to talk about today, guys, I literally made it super easy for you. All you got to do is scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you directly to the Stamp Seed website. Get yourself a titanium seed phrase storage kit so you don't have to explain to your grandchildren why you lost your generational wealth because you decided to store it on paper and not titanium. Anyways, another video that I want to play for you guys from Mises Media. And the topic of this video is the consequence of politicized money. Let's check it out. It's something that we've talked a lot about on Simply Bitcoin.
The consequence of politicized money. Often, when we talk about inflation, what comes to mind is increased prices, but the consequences of politicized money go far beyond what we see when making a purchase. Money is not simply a unit of account, but is the lifeblood of the economy. Manipulating it for political ends has ramifications that many will never understand, but are no less important. For example, the government's control over the production of money increases its control over the real resources in society. When inflation occurs, it does not happen evenly, like boats floating on rising water. There are winners and losers in an inflationary environment, and many of the criticisms about the consequences of capitalism can be traced back to the socialization of money. As we've noted, the first winner of inflation is government. It increases the resources they can control without having to increase taxes. This allows government to spend more than they otherwise would, which is why we've seen exponential increases in government projects, foreign wars, and welfare programs the more government has taken control over money. The next winner is big banks, which central banks use to conduct monetary policy. In 2008, it was the Federal Reserve that purchased most of the bad debt from big banks, bailing them out for their bad decisions at the expense of everyone else who holds dollars. The winners don't stop there, however. The closer an individual or business is to the creation of new money, the more they benefit. So, if big banks desire to focus their investment on a particular industry, like technology, big tech firms receive state privilege as well. For example, some major tech companies have never been profitable on the market. They continue to grow, however, because they have access to cheap debt, subsidized by Federal Reserve policy. When one sector benefits from politicized money, other industries may be hurt, and not simply because of inflation. For example, in the 2000s, Federal Reserve policy subsidized the housing bubble that created a financial crisis. With housing construction benefiting from monetary policy, it attracted workers away from industries that use similar workers, like manufacturing. These secondary consequences are often ignored by pundits, but a good economist looks at both the seen and the unseen. There are cultural consequences as well. When central banks push interest rates low, it changes the cost of money and encourages short-term spending while discouraging saving. In doing so, our central bank policy impacts society's time preference, encouraging individuals to spend now at the expense of the future. Since 2008, with interest rates near zero, Americans have received very little interest if they saved money in a traditional bank account. but were rewarded by investing in the stock market. The result is more Americans owning risky financial assets rather than having a dependable return for savings. This disconnect from financial markets and real production has created an economy grounded in what is called financialization. The result has been major gains in the financial services industry, but declining purchasing power among American workers. While many Americans claim to be concerned about rising income inequality, few connect this issue to one of its major causes, giving government bureaucrats complete control over the money. No one has benefited more since Nixon closed the gold window in 1971 than the wealthiest 1% of Americans. In recent years, concerns about the abuses of the Federal Reserve and other central banks have sparked
1971. What the F happened in 1971? See, these videos are so good at explaining the problem. But what good is explaining the problem without presenting a solution? Now, this is something that Bitcoiners have been doing. Like, it's not only about identifying the problems with the politicized and broken money, with the misaligned incentives of the fiat system. You have to present a solution to people. And I believe that the political solution that's being presented time and time again is a bait and switch. Like, it's a distraction from what is actually going on. Now, I saw someone in the comments where you get the hoodie. This is the new Simply Bitcoin merch. You can get yours. I made it super easy for you guys. All you got to do is scan the QR code on your screen, take you directly to the Simply Bitcoin website. You can get yourself a Simply Bitcoin shirt or hoodie. Our merch just dropped. It's a limited drop, so get it while supplies last. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on this, bro? Aren't these videos great?
Who does them again? Mises something?
Yeah, Mises Media. Yeah.
Mises Media, killing it. And to the point of the video, you know, like, we try to explain this as much as possible. And, you know, I never heard of Mises Media until you brought it up. And I love that it is putting this stuff in animation. Maybe the grown adults out there will actually watch it because it's animated and looks like a cartoon. But politicized money makes you poor. Like, it's this simple. It's so simple. It really is almost incomprehensible how people don't see the problem. Like, this is the Cantillon effect animated for you guys that have short attention spans that like cartoons, that are grown adults that like cartoons. But, you know, the TLDR of it is friends of the government get the money first. And we see this constantly happening. We saw this happen in 2008. We saw this happen in 2020. And it's happening in 2023. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous how much money just gets printed to, you know, friends of the government. And that literally makes you poor. Like, it can't be more simple than this. You know, friends in high places, I suppose. I wish I had friends in higher places. I'm gonna get cut right there. Shouts out to you guys in the chat. That's gonna troll me out of that. But this is why you can take their power away from them by opting into Bitcoin. Like, this is the whole game, guys. The fiat money, politicized money, the separation of money and state, I would argue, is the reason we are in the position we are in, is because they print obscene amount of money for things that you probably wouldn't vote for. You probably wouldn't agree to these taxes, but hey, what's the saying? You know, inflation is the silent theft. So they print the money, they send that money wherever they want, whether you agree with it or not, and you get poorer. Like, this is the basics of what's going on in the world, and this is why the world is so messed up right now. But I really like one point in here, and this point always gets lost on people, especially if they're outside of Bitcoin and they're, you know, a normie worldview or whatever. And I'm so glad that Mises Media brought this up, because this is one of the things that very early on in my Bitcoin journey, my Austrian economics journey, it really kind of like struck a chord with me. And it's the seen and unseen consequences of money. And I think it's such an important idea, because everyone can have an emotional reaction to the seen consequences of printing money. You know, hey, let's print this much money and send it to this feel good, you know, whatever it is. You know, let's build the roads, let's build these bridges, let's help these people. And the unseen consequences of that money printing is you get poorer. And it's so much easier to have a tangible emotional reaction to something that you see actually happening in real time versus something that goes under the radar, that's unseen, that you don't really understand what's going on unless you know the mechanics of the fiat system. But, you know, again, TLDR, guys, the more money they print for whatever reason, the poorer you get, the poorer your children get, because, hey, if you're just like us, you're an average person that doesn't have friends in high places, then you don't get that money first, and you get poor once the money comes back to you. It's so simple that it really blows my mind that people like to complicate this, guys. The more money they print to give to their friends. And the longer it takes for you to get that money, the poorer you are. And, they even brought up 1971. And, you can look at all the charts. Go to WTF happened in 1971 to see the spread between the haves and the have-nots. And literally, Bitcoin fixes this. You need to save in something that cannot get debased. Take Bitcoin into self-custody. Save in Bitcoin constantly. It's really simple, guys. But it really is incredible how thick some people's skulls are and how hard it is for us to orange pill them. Anyways, I'll rant over. Let's go. Box, jump in. What's your thoughts on this?
The piece that I think is really hard for people to get, I mean, everything you just said is exactly right. The piece that's really hard for people to get is the fact that there's an incentive for them to print because of the increased tax receipts they get on capital gains, right? That's a piece that took me a while to understand. I think a lot of people still don't understand it. But if my house goes up, quote unquote, in this debasing currency values, if it doubles and then I sell it, the government gets a nice chunk of that. Whereas if the currency had stayed level, it wouldn't have been as much of a capital gains tax for them. So there's actually an incentive built into it for them to inflate for all the capital gains that they get for their tax receipts. It's not a neutral thing, even just from the government's perspective, let alone the people who are the asset holders who benefit. There's so much unfairness baked into it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. The unfairness is incredible. And, it's so easy to divert the conversation if you don't understand the mechanics to it. Anyways, Nico, it's all you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's such a great. I wish I've seen Bitcoiners do the animated chalkboard before. I've seen Ian Applebaum, and he's done work with Knut Svanholm, and I've seen 21 million Bitcoin TV or something like that, and they've done that type of stuff. But these educational videos are great, and I want to keep emphasizing this, right? It's really awesome to identify these problems. But one thing is identifying the problem, and one thing is providing a solution. And the only solution that's presented to most people is a political one. So it's vote Republican, vote Democrat, all your problems are going to go away. Doesn't matter what party is in power. This is why they call it the uniparty, right? They just print money. That's it, right? And as long as they have this ability to create money for free that everyone else has to work for, it misaligns incentives in society. It makes these politicians absurdly rich. Why do you think they're sending all that money to Ukraine? Where's that money going? Right? No one's asking that, right? It's why are these politicians, not to name any specific ones, but why are they worth hundreds of millions of dollars with a government salary? I think the highest government salary in the Senate is $174,000 a year. So how are they worth that? How are they worth that type of money? Well, I mean, if there's a money machine next to you, figuratively speaking, what do you these people are incentivized to get as close as humanly possible to it, right? So anyways, Bitcoin fixes this. But shout out to Mises Media though, because these are still very, very well done videos. I wish at the end, all they have to do, they don't even have to include Bitcoin in there. They could just end with a static image of Bitcoin fixes with the Bitcoin logo, and that's it. That's literally all they have to do. Anyways, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Bitcoin 2024. They throw the largest Bitcoin conference on the face of the earth. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, July 25th through the 27th. You don't want to miss it. For a GA pass, you can get it for $349. For an industry pass, you can get it for $849. For a whale pass, you can get it for $4,749. So you definitely don't want to miss the biggest Bitcoin celebration on planet Earth. And we made it super, super easy for you guys. You could take advantage of the promo code SIMPLY and go to the link in the video description so you can get your tickets to Bitcoin 2024. All right, everybody, let's get to the news. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's check it out.
The Daily News.
All right, guys, I want to give a very special shout out to our new sponsor Foundation devices. Foundation's devices is self-custody done right. What I'm holding in my hand is the passport. Look how beautiful it is. Look at, you take off the top, you replace the battery. It looks dope. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin. It doesn't only look dope. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet design with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off of exchanges into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes from taking ownership of your own keys. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely offline air gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium build materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the passport link in the show notes below to learn more. Get yourself a Foundations Devices passport hardware wallet. Anyways, guys, let's jump into the news today. We have a lot to cover. So let's start off with the news from Oman. And in case you guys haven't been tuned into Simply Bitcoin, or you guys have unplugged from Bitcoin Twitter, I don't blame you. This crab market for a while and bear market has, I think a lot of people are have been eating each other, figuratively speaking. So I don't blame a lot of you guys for tuning out, but in case you're tuning out, to give you guys a little bit of context, an article came out not too long ago, I think it was about a week ago or so, that Oman was investing $1.1 billion in mining infrastructure. So let's check out some of the details of that. And this was made by our boys over at Luxor. With its energy surplus and desire to diversify and modernize its economy, Oman is now moving heavily into Bitcoin mining. Two mega projects, Exahertz and Green Data City, are currently under development and could turn Oman into the biggest Bitcoin mining nation in the region. Exahertz and Green Data City plan to build out a combined 1.2 gigawatt, which could generate 55 exahashes. This could eventually give Oman a 7% network share. It goes on to say, quote, Oman's electricity system consists of two separate electricity grids named Dhofar and Main Interconnected System. Both Exahertz and Green Data City's pilot projects are located in Dhofar, while Exahertz has two sites under development in the Main Interconnected System area. Exahertz has a partnership with Bitmain and utilizes hydro-cooled Bitmain containers equipped with the S19 Pro X Hydro at its Salalah pilot site. Quote, the Omani government has adopted a fuel diversification policy with a target of generating 30% of the electricity from renewable sources by 2030. The only way to achieve this optimistic goal is by initiating massive development of Oman's excellent solar resources. Quote, due to a continuous build out of natural gas and solar, Oman's total generating capacity is expected to grow by 8.7% annually until 2027. There will be more than enough electricity for the country's Bitcoin miners. Goes on to say, quote, the heavy build out of new generation capacity will lead Oman's already electricity surplus to increase drastically. Bitcoin miners will be needed to monetize this otherwise unutilized electricity generation capacity. It goes on to say, Oman's mining license holders can obtain considerably lower electricity tariffs than regular businesses and pay below 0.4 per kilowatt hour, a highly competitive rate globally. One of the biggest advantages of mining Bitcoin in Oman is the solid government support. Licensed miners get access to special and competitive electricity tariffs. In addition, they could avoid most taxes, including corporate tax, VAT, and import duties. Scorching desert heat makes Bitcoin mining a massive challenge in other Middle Eastern countries like the UAE, Qatar, and Kuwait. Luckily, miners can come to cool down in Oman, the Bitcoin mining oasis of the Middle East. I love how that's put. Very, very good marketing. So there's an update from Oman, that news that came out, not too long ago. So, and just to kind of give you guys like a mental model, right? We had the Kingdom of Bhutan. There's an article that came out by Forbes, very famous, and it said Bhutan has secretly been mining Bitcoin for years. Then another country. So what's the next country that's going to be investing into Bitcoin mining? It's almost as if Bitcoin's incentives stay winning. Anyways, here's a clip from the Coin Stories podcast, which is hosted by Natalie Brunell, and it is Ricardo Salinas. Ricardo Salinas is the third richest man in Mexico. It's about 21-second clip. Let's check it out.
In the liquid part of the portfolio, I now opted to, I basically just have Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, 4 or 5 miners, some oil companies, and some gold miners. That's it. In the liquid part,
Bro, this guy's based AF. Like, he doesn't own anything. He doesn't own treasuries. Nothing. It's just like, bro, like I have miners, Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, which is like basically an ETF of Bitcoin. Like that's how it's acting. Bro, that's absolutely hilarious. I mean, talk about conviction. Yeah, man. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so obvious for Bitcoiners that have been here for a long time, but I guess it's not obvious to everyone. Anyways, here is Bill Burr. He's a very famous comedian, and he calls out the Federal Reserve and the debasement of the dollar. Let's check it out. And this is very important in terms of breaking the Bitcoin echo chamber. The more people question the dollar, the more people question the system. This is why we show you guys videos from like Mises Media, for example. That is a very good video, for example, that you can share with someone who's complaining about inflation. Like they're like, what's going on with inflation? You could literally just send them the video and that video will summarize it for you. Maybe you send them the video and then underneath the text, you put Bitcoin fixes this, look into Bitcoin, right? That's how we moved it. Like that's how we win this thing. Slowly but surely we win over the hearts and minds of individuals. Anyways, let's check out what Bill Burr has to say.
I don't care, $20. This could get me 1.5 gallons of gas. Thank you, Joe Biden. I love how people still blame ties for gas prices and not the fact that we print $1 trillion with nothing behind it every August. This is liberals. This is fucking Donald Trump. Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was 10 cunts in the Federal Reserve with suits, right? Did somebody explain to me why the president just doesn't send the army over there with guns and walk in and be like, yeah, this is over. This is over. We don't owe you any money. You guys can all go fuck yourselves. And it's our currency again. And we say it's worth something. All right? You guys left me on that. What are you all, economists? Well, that's actually not how it works. What you gotta have is you need a valuable metal. But what gives gold value? Excellent question. Let's go to the fucking blackboard. That's when you know you're in deep shit.
Anyways, absolutely fucking hilarious. But yeah, look, again, the fact that people are laughing about it, the fact that it's being talked in the mainstream, he's correctly identified the problem. I think in terms of moving the Overton window, this is very, very important. Now, kind of going back to, let's start off with the Oman news. Opti, I mean, dude, this bullish, bro. What did you say the other day? Bitcoin is halal.
Yeah, Bitcoin is definitely halal. I mean, we've been saying this for a while, and shouts out to my boy Mike Hobart because he constantly doubles down on the idea that, look, even if you strip away Bitcoin from its use case as a store of value for the individual out here, like Bitcoin as an asset to energy production and the energy grids is what Mike always says is like, that's probably the killer app here for Bitcoin. And it's going to be extremely unavoidable moving forward, especially when we're seeing countries and corporations start to embrace it and start to use Bitcoin mining as a way to offset their profits. I mean, everyone wants profits. We are capitalists and people want to make money instead of just burning money, literally burning money and it going to waste. So of course, it's becoming clearer to people that are energy efficient to embrace Bitcoin mining. And I think we're going to see this happen more and more and more. And it's just going to be absolutely beautiful, not only because people are embracing Bitcoin, but adding more hash rate to the Bitcoin network, makes our money that much harder and that much stronger. And I just absolutely love to see this. As I've been saying constantly, like semi-trolling, we should be unplugging all these nations and they should be plugging into Bitcoin mining. Obviously, guys, I'm trolling. But on the next point, I'm gonna jump to what's the Mexican dude's name? Robert Salinas, I think.
Ricardo Salinas. Ricardo Salinas. Are you Mexican, Opti? What's going on,
dude?
Bro?
I am the worst Mexican. Don't you hear this accent? I am an American. Anyways, I just want one tidbit on it, and I've been hearing a lot of this coming out from Twitter accounts and also friends that are having these conversations. But the amount of people that are secretly stacking right now that are high net worth individuals, I think is going to be absolutely mind blowing coming up. Most of these people, if they're smart Bitcoin investors, I hate using the word investors, but if they're smart when they're stacking Bitcoin, they're obviously buying Bitcoin like over the counter, so they're not necessarily moving the markets, and it's only a matter of time until that like retail FOMO kicks in and the price really starts jumping, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see what high net worth individuals have been stacking in this bear market. I mean, they like to make money too. They understand that their purchasing power, as Sailor said, is melting ice cubes and they're losing it in real time, and they need to find alternatives. And it really connects to the idea of Bill Burr. Like, I absolutely love Bill Burr. He's hilarious. He's a legend. I think though in the past, he was hating on Bitcoin for a little bit. I think if I remember correctly, there was a clip going around where he was like, don't talk to me about Bitcoin, you fucking nerds. And don't blame him. But I think it goes back to the idea we always talk about here, or at least I always talk about here, is that people are starting to feel the problem. Like, understanding the problem and knowing the solution are probably two different things. But if we're talking about this in popular culture and, Bill Burr making fun of the Federal Reserve, making fun of Joe Biden printing trillions of dollars, or any president printing trillions of dollars, you can tell that this is moving into the popular zeitgeist of human consciousness. They are waking up to the idea of like, wait, why are we using paper IOUs? Like, why is this the status quo? And also kind of relating this to the Mises video in the beginning, like, this is the fundamental problem. They print a bunch of money and we have no say in it. And they're supposed to be working for us, the citizen, and they're making us poorer. And people are starting to feel the problems. Again, though, just most people don't know the solutions, or they're fighting the solutions. Like, I'm sure you guys have had these conversations with people and you're like, look, Bitcoin fixes this. Like, yeah, shut up, bro. Stop pumping your bags. But the problem is simple, man. They print obscene amount of money. What's the Foss meme? Like, they can't stop printing money. They are in a rock and a hard place, and they have to continue to print money. And if comedians are talking about it and they're highlighting the problems, then you can tell that it's slowly but surely seeping into the popular zeitgeist of all of humans. Are like, what the hell is going on? Why are we poor? Why are we struggling right now? I thought we were in a first world rich country. Like, how come my gas is going up? How come my food's getting more expensive? Why are my bills more expensive? How come I'm getting richer and my house mortgage is like, why is my house pricing going up? Like, what's going on here? It's the broken money. This is the fundamental problem here. We have bad money and everything is getting more expensive, and we have opted out, and we're sitting over here in the life raft like, hey guys, you might want to hold some Bitcoin. It's catching on.
What's your take, man?
Yeah, the Oman thing is interesting. I'm certainly no expert. I spent some years working in oil and gas, and so don't take my word for any kind of expertise. But what I think is fascinating, with the natural gas especially, you burn it to mine the Bitcoin, right? So I think Bitcoin mining has been too small to really be a competitor for infrastructure. Literally, infrastructure is a big deal. Not just you don't need to obviously just have the reserves. You need to actually bring them to market, which is one of the hardest parts of the section of the industry. So, when are we going to see competition between Bitcoin mining and actually the building of infrastructure, the building of import-export terminals, for example, pipelines? Like, why do you need that pipeline if we're all plugging in miners? So that's kind of the fascinating thing for me as I look at this Oman piece. As countries start to come out, Bhutan, Oman, and they're all looking at each other thinking, oh, you're doing something that I'm not. Because we see how things are geopolitically right now, where it's, you need to, like with Russia, you need to not just produce the gas, you not just produce the hydrocarbons, but you need to then be able to sell them. You need to be able to bring them to the market and sell them. So with Bitcoin mining, you can just eliminate a large part of that headache. So if there's political constraints, if there's infrastructure constraints, just eliminate all that headache. You just burn it yourself and mine the Bitcoin. I think we're just in the very beginning days of seeing how that plays out, but I feel as though it's going to become a major player in terms of integrating into how all these infrastructure deals are thought about going forward. It's going to be fascinating to watch it unfold.
Definitely, man. Excited to watch this unfold. I mean, like everyone's saying in the in the chat, we need to orange pill the lions and not really care about the sheep. Hey, man, I think all individuals need Bitcoin, but it's very interesting that those with capital, those that have made their own wealth, are obviously going to understand Bitcoin before everyone else that is kind of waiting for handouts. So I think this is just like the inevitable process of people becoming orange pilled. So I don't know, man. I think this next couple of years is going to be very interesting, and I really wonder whether Bitcoin is going to become like part of the popular culture, and instead of like right now we're really, you know, the ugly step-headed child of any conversation, and we're the ones badgering people about Bitcoin. And I think coming up, it's going to be unavoidable. And people are going to be like, yo, we are poorer than ever. Our money is not going as far as it used to. Like, what the hell is going on? And obviously, this is when we're sitting here and we're like, hey, guys, it is Bitcoin. Thank you very much. You know, I'll help you. I'll Uncle Jim you. I'll make sure that you guys take your Bitcoin into self-custody. You guys protect yourselves. But I think it's becoming very clear that there is a problem. And I think that's the first step. People asking, you know, what is money? Like, what's the problem? Like, if people don't know there's a problem, they ain't going to look for solutions. So this is where we are, defining the problem. Bill Burr's explaining it very well. And moving forward, maybe we'll get more comedians talking about the Federal Reserve. Let's go. Anyways, Nick, jump in.
Yeah, I mean, dude, again, dude, like the more comedians, the more people start. I'm telling you, I told you stories about my personal experiences, like kind of like I'm feeling that people are saying like, what the F is gone? What is happening with inflation? And that question inevitably leads to what is money? That inevitably leads to and here's the most dangerous question. Like, this is the question that they will not be able to answer. Like, once this question is in the, you know, the mainstream consciousness, it's game, set, and match. And it's like, money doesn't have to lose value. Like, that's the crazy part. Like, the fact that people take that as if it was some type of, you know, Mother Nature, like, this is how things are, you can't change that. Like, that is how we win. Like, we just have to highlight that they don't have a response to that. They don't have an argument to that. There's nothing they can say in order to spin that, because what it is, it's taxation, but it's what's the old saying from the Revolutionary War? It's taxation without representation. Like, is this taxation that no one agreed to? You didn't agree to this. Right? This isn't something that was voted on. Like, you can talk about income tax. You can, that is a whole other debate, right? We don't even bring up the income tax debate, right? Because some people feel some way about it. Other people feel another way about it. But the inflation tax is taxation that no one has agreed to. And more importantly, it's taxation that no one is aware of. Like, they're not even aware of the fact that they're being taxed in the first place, right? So anyways, all right, guys, let's move on to the culture. We have a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. All right, guys, I also want to tell you about the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. It's coming up. It's literally October 5th through the 6th. You definitely don't want to miss the biggest Bitcoin celebration on the West Coast, the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. Current speakers include Jimmy Song, Lynn Alden, Greg Foss, Alex Gladstein, Corey Clipston, Preston Pish, Stacey Herbert, Max Kaiser, Stefan Livera, and many, many more. You definitely don't want to miss the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a major discount on the tickets. I think it's like 21%. So it's a nice chunk. Anyways, Opti, what are we talking about today, bro?
Yeah, so of course we have our guest box, and we usually like to get the guest Bitcoin stories. So let's just start there, and then I got a list of stuff that Vox wanted to touch on and highlight. But Vox, how did you become a Bitcoiner, and why are you so obsessed with Bitcoin?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, especially just as a random pleb. I think that's awesome you guys are doing that. So I love the show Silicon Valley. I don't know if you guys ever saw that show on HBO. So back in it was 2017 or so, they had that the one programmer who would listen to the song "You Suffer" by Napalm Death. He would blast it through the office. It's like this 2 second. You guys remember this clip? Anyone see this?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a 2 second metal song. And that was his notification to toggle his Bitcoin miner remotely to turn on or off because the price went up or it went down, so it was profitable or not to mine. I was like, what the heck is this? But that's so I heard about it then and bought some, sold some 2018, didn't pay much attention. COVID 2020 got into podcasts. Said, what the heck is this? The halvening. What happens is the buzz around the halvening brings people in. We're going to see that coming up here next year, but just thought of it as an investment initially, but then I guess I heard on a podcast, you got to go on Twitter. So I went on Twitter, made some NIMs. I had a couple of NIMs that I built up to like 1,000 and then nuked it, built up to 1,000 and then nuked it. And I had no intention of talking about this with real life people. I was just like, this is crazy. This is, I feel like a crazy, it's not crazy. It's actually very sane, but I feel crazy because no one else agrees with me. Right. And, but then what happened, I was watching this PBS documentary on Fed Frontline, and they asked the interviewer, you can go look it up, it's on YouTube, they asked the interviewer, aren't you worried that you're increasing wealth inequality by printing all this money? And you know what Jerome Powell's his response was, well, none of the political basically none of the politicians come to me with that complaint. So therefore, we're not concerned about that. And that for me was, okay, this is worn out because that's BS. I know the people. So I spent about the last decade or so living in the hood in Philadelphia, living in Kensington, which has recently gone viral for all that craziness with fentanyl and heroin and all that. And a lot of my friends, neighbors are folks who are just living paycheck to paycheck, very, very just struggling to survive. And the idea that those people will understand the problems of the Federal Reserve, bring it to their local councilman, their representative, that those people will understand it. So the Federal Reserve, with all your tens of thousands of employees analyzing whatever you analyze, you're going to just rely on the politicians to understand this stuff and come bring it to you. And it was at that moment I was like, okay, this is rigged. This is BS. Like, I'm not going to play this game. I need to, and I appreciate everybody who's anonymous. But there's a need for those of us who are not anonymous. We need both, I think. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to be, and so that's maybe, my thought for anyone out there who's wondering whether they should speak up at their job or speak up, at their place of work, at their family, not wanting to be the crazy one. It's like, this is a moral imperative. This is something we have to do. We have to restore the ledger, the ledger of all money, right? The stateless ledger, the government-free ledger. We have to build that so that we don't have to rely on this corrupt system anymore. And that's going to take us speaking up and actually putting our name and our face to it. A number of us, not everybody, because we need the anons for wartime, especially. But anyway, that's been my journey. So it's been a couple of years now running nodes and going all in as far as my own savings and all that. But just love what you guys are doing here, and that's been my journey. So thanks.
Appreciate it, bro. And yeah, I couldn't agree more with like a non-statement as well. Like I really do believe there's a need for a non-Bitcoiners and then also publicly facing Bitcoiners that are, very adamant and vocal about Bitcoin. And you kind of brought up something, and we did have it in the show notes here, and it's the idea of orange pilling. I'm falling into the thinking of is this like a chicken or egg problem in the sense of like, can you actually orange pill someone or do you orange pill yourself? What's your thoughts on this?
Well, you can certainly, someone has to orange pill themselves, but you can certainly put a lot of opportunities for them to think about it. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like that. As I always say, plant the seeds and accept the ideas of freedom money and maybe even like what is money, just work your way down and you're not going to force it. You're not going to beat it into someone's head overnight. So
multiple exposures, but really it's true what they say. You hear this in some of the high inflation countries we talk to, people who are just people who for whom savings is not even a thing can't hear the Bitcoin is savings message. They really can't, because savings is not what you even, it's not even on an option. So I think for those folks, they're particularly susceptible, and I'm worried about the next wave of the hype coins and the scam coins, and we can talk about that too. But yeah, there's certainly a need for personal responsibility to actually understand it. What I like to talk about is not just adoption, but also absorption. That's what also gets me excited. When people get exposure to Bitcoin without even knowing what it is, right? I think that's really ultimately where a lot of these folks are gonna be able to save some of their savings, preserve some of their wealth, is through absorption, through exposure, through other means. Owning anything that has any Bitcoin exposure.
Interesting. Well, could you elaborate on this idea of absorption? What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm talking about, really, this is controversial. I actually don't even know y'all's position on this, but RFK's talking about backing the dollar with Bitcoin, right? I think that'd be the primary one. He wouldn't be backing it 1-to-1, right? He's talking about 1%, or I think he said Bitcoin and gold and metals. But this idea that Nico was talking about, the Overton window, this idea of, little by little, we can actually start to introduce. You could even argue that, when Tesla bought some, the S&P is now partially has some Bitcoin exposure, right? So as we get companies buying it, as we get the federal government owning some on their balance sheet, which they kind of already do, right, through the stuff that they confiscate. These are all small ways of gaining exposure that we're watching them grow over time through the actual dollar itself.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. And it kind of goes back to the initial conversation here in the numbers. And I think the first place you start, or at least fall down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, is the idea when you ask yourself the question, what is money? And you were talking about Lynn Alden's book. I forget what the new book is, but you want to touch on that idea. What's she talking about in that book? And is it opening up new perspectives on things?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not getting any paid sponsorships or anything, but this is a good book. It's thick and it's intimidating, but short chapters, which I like, because you can always see how far you get. So there's a lot in there. A lot of it covers, some of it covers ground we've seen in other books, so it's not as though everything is brand new if you've already read, Bitcoin Standard and a few other books like that. But the big idea that I've been latching onto that I think is really cool is her concept of, she's saying basically how everything is ledgers, even natural commodity money is ledger that is controlled by nature. Meaning gold, if you're using that as your ledger, quote unquote, no one knows the full amount of gold, the full accounting of who has which gold, but the physical possession is your entry onto this natural ledger. So the realization that all money, whether it's just me saying, hey, I owe you a soda, that's a debit and a credit, right? We just create, and we're the only ones who own that ledger. Our relationship governs the terms of that. The realization for me has been that all money is a ledger. It's just different ones. Even the gold, even the commodities. And by ledger, what I'm talking about is that's kind of like an accounting term. There's who is it, and what's the debit and what's the credit, and that's pretty much it. It's just just think of a spreadsheet, and that's literally what Bitcoin is the ultimate spreadsheet that we can all use that no one can control. And all of money is just that. It's just that this is the only one that no one can control, that we all have complete access to. So it's ledgers all the way down. Has been, I don't know if she would necessarily put it that way, but that's been how I've been thinking about it. The realization that when you have a ledger, what do you gain by changing the unit of account on that inflation? What does that do? It doesn't do anything. It's all about exchanging you to me, you to you, you to me, me to you, with different types of parameters around those exchanges. And it's obvious when you think about it that way, when you zoom out to everything as a ledger, that the best ledger, once we have a global world, a completely connected world, the best ledger, the most decentralized ledger no one controls, that's going to be the winner. That's going to be the one we all end up using.
I love that. Also the most transparent ledger, I think people will gravitate towards. And yeah, man, everything is a ledger. It's, again, I love having these conversations because we constantly iterate on ways to explain Bitcoin the simplest in the layman's words, so like the average person could get it. And the more Bitcoiners we have come on, they don't try to be like too think boy about it. It's just like, look, bro, it's a ledger. You want to use a transparent ledger. You want to use a ledger that no one can, distort. And you want it to be a global ledger so we can all tally who owns what. And it's just like, it's so simple, man.
It's almost as if the name of the show is Simply Bitcoin.
Simple Bitcoin.
Oh man. But yeah, man, dude, it's really, I agree with Opti's statement so hard, right? Because it like Opti and I we talk about this off air all the time. Like, dude, like this, it just works. Like it's pretty simple. Like, take self custody of your key, of your coin. Run your own node. I definitely recommend the one that I run personally, which is a Start9. They make amazing stuff over there. You can check the link in the description if you're interested. But yeah, it's it's so simple. Just like take Bitcoin into self-custody. Look, the node thing is like another step. Like you will eventually want to run your own node, just buy your own thing, because you're going to start asking questions like, okay, if I don't run my own node, then I'm trusting someone else's. I'm doxing basically my balance to a random node. They know basically, they could surmise how much coins you have, where you're sending them to, what addresses they're at. So eventually, like, all roads lead to, full self-sovereignty, which is running your own version of Bitcoin, right? And taking your keys into self-custody. Stop trusting other people now that we have the technology for you not to have to do that. Like before, it was pretty freaking difficult. Like there was no good solution. Like there's only so much cash you can carry on your person. There's only so much gold you can carry on your person. Gold is heavy as fuck, right? So, they came up with a banking system. The problem is that they abuse governments specifically, like they governments and banks, you could say, they've abused this, but I don't really blame them. Like you have a system of misaligned incentive structures, and I think people are just acting on their own incentives. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the meme review. We got a lot of memes to review. Let's check it out.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboomracks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboomracks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboomracks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboomracks.
Kaboomracks. Well, you already know the deal, guys. This is the meme review where you tag me in memes. I've been telling you to tag me at the Simply Bitcoin TV Twitter account, but it's been getting kind of hectic lately. So maybe if I miss it, tag me on my personal Optimus Fields account, and I'll get to your memes. Also, you can drop them in our Telegram group. We have a lively Telegram group in there. I think we're almost at 1,000 in there. So shouts out to everyone that hangs out in there. Good conversation with a bunch of Bitcoiners. And this is the fan favorite, guys. Memes are powerful because we have the truth on our side, because they make you laugh, because they explain and incept the ideas of Bitcoin. Even though old man BTC in the chat says that the meme review is degrading the signal, this is the fan favorite. This is why people come to the show. They spend the whole time just to get their memes on this show. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat and we will review them live. Anyways, this first meme is by Love is Bitcoin 21, or maybe it's not them because I think they just regurgitate memes, but it's attributed to Love is Bitcoin 21. And you can see Michael Saylor here, and he's bored. He's just like, I think this is at the Bitcoin Mag conference in Miami last year, and he's just bored, and he sits there like, I should smash by 1K Bitcoins just to feel something. This is the way. I mean, first and foremost, I wish I could smash by 1K Bitcoins like it was nothing, but I'm sure Saylor doesn't get the dopamine rush that we do when we do our DCA, but hey, he's got a DCA in bigger chunks. It is what it is. Anyways, this next meme is by Meming Bitcoin, and it kind of relates to what Vox was saying in the culture of just like how easy Bitcoin really, actually, we've been saying it all day, like just how easy Bitcoin is and people overcomplicating things. And we got, I forget what this guy is. It's the Spider-Man. He's like the octopus guy. And on the top, he's like, he's yelling, why? And he goes, people saying that Bitcoin is too complicated to work. And then him on the bottom on the green screen dancing. And he goes, people sending an email, using Twitter, and watching Netflix with no idea how they work. Oh, man, I wish we could inject this meme into more people's brains, the normies' brains, obviously, because it really blows my mind. Like, oh, I'm becoming more broke. And it's like, hey, I got Bitcoin. And then they're like, oh, that's too complicated. It'll never work. And yet they're using everything in the modern world without knowing how they actually work. It just works. Same with Bitcoin. Anyways, tangent off. Here is Bitcoin Sapiens, and he goes, it's an AI warrior with Bitcoin logo on his chest, Bitcoin armor. And it goes, it's impossible to dig 500 hours down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and not become a maximalist. Let's go. Okay, this next one is by Michael Blast, Mike Tampa 69. And he goes, at Simply Bitcoin TV, is now a good time to buy. And I guess this might be a Toxic Bitcoiner, at Toxic Bitcoiner. And we got a guy here, he's drinking his coffee, he's all smug, and he goes, is now a good time to buy, as he watched the price fall from 69K to 18K. Peter was cathartic. Thanks to his above average IQ, he successfully avoided the Bitcoin scam since it was only $3. Lol. There's so many people out there just like this. Like, oh, Bitcoin's a scam. I've been watching it since it was a penny. And now it's in the 20Ks. And like, it's going to implode. It's tulips. It's going up forever, Laura. Anyways, this last one is by Big Sean Harris. And I really like this one, Big Sean. I actually had one of your other memes this morning, but I replaced it with this one. And he goes, when truth is deemed as misinformation and uncensorable money becomes necessary, hashtag Bitcoin. And we have a king here on his stoop here, on his I don't know what you call it, on his throne above the plebs. And he goes, the truth shall spread. And we just got one of you guys out there, the Bitcoiner out there. And he goes, when truth is deemed as misinformation and uncensorable money becomes necessary. And then the king says, your crown, king. This is the way. We have the signal. Bitcoin stays winning. Bitcoin incentives are pure. And the world is about to get on the Bitcoin standard. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat over there on the other side of everyone. And we will cover them live as well. My meme review score for today, Nico, is a single match.
I'm gonna give it a hotel ice bucket. Boom.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it this view.
Oh,
Oof,
flexing
beautiful.
on us.
Ooh.
Flexing on us.
Flexing on us.
That Hawaiian view, man. That's awesome, dude. Super, super beautiful. Anyways, guys, before we get to the live chat and start reading some of your scores, guys, check out the Simply Bitcoin merch. It just dropped. All you got to do is literally scan the QR code. Someone asked, like, what does that mean? That means, like, you pull up your phone with your camera and it will take you to drink a link, and it will take you directly to the Simply Bitcoin website. You can get this orange hoodie. Just dropped. Get it while supplies last. You definitely don't want to miss this drop. You don't want to miss this drop. All right, Juan. I hope you're happy. All right, moving on to the scores. Opti, let's pull them up.
I think there's a delay, long delay today. So they're still coming in. They're still coming in. Allegedly.
Are you sure? We ran out of time anyways.
Yeah. I bet. Oh wait, no, here we go. Wait, hold on.
They're here. All right. Damn, the delay today was gnarly. Holy crap. What was that? It was like a 45-second delay. Anyways, Hammersall says, I give the memes a liquor and cigarette stashed away to trade for Bitcoin during hyperinflation. They're just coming in now crazy. Hyperinflation, goat, turquoise, white horns. Man. Okay, all right.
Oh, man.
Next
I
one.
don't think we can read some of these. Y'all wildin'.
Bitcoin comedians become a thing. Laughter orange pills the nation. Absolutely love it. Next one by Robert Vermoth. A fifth of Tito's. That Tito's vodka. Meme score 12:15 Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I get it. I'm sorry. I apologize. McLovin. Opti will have a badass handlebar mustache by the halving.
Fake news. Can't grow a mustache.
Kim, I cannot say that, but that's hilarious. BTC is truth. I score the memes. Joe Biden stacking sats. All right, guys. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. No, Opti. This is the weekend sign off. Okay, I'm your host Nico. This is my awesome co-host Opti. Hope you guys enjoyed the Simply Bitcoin this week. It's been a little bit hectic. I think this is the first time. No, we've recorded Simply Bitcoin on the West Coast before, Opti. We did a Pacific Bitcoin last year.
Yeah. We've done it before.
We've done it before. So this isn't the first. I guess it's the first time for me in a hotel room on the West Coast.
It's a little different when it's early in the morning, huh?
It is a little bit different. I'm a lot less like I don't have the energy that I would have at like noon. But anyways, it's interesting. I also want to thank our guest Vox. Thank you so much for joining us today, bro. We really appreciate it. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs and what you're working on these days?
Yeah, Vox Popoli 86. That's me on Twitter, and same thing on Instagram. I'm working on totally unrelated. You can follow me there. I'm gonna drop dropping a heavy music album soon, but not Bitcoin related at all. You can check that out. But thanks a lot for this. You know, this is an awesome show. Love what you guys are doing. So appreciate you having me on. Thanks everybody. Appreciate
you joining us, man. Really, really do. All right, guys. You know. Have an amazing weekend. And we'll see you back next week for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. And should be interesting. Every week in Bitcoin, bro. I always feel every single week, like I've been doing this for 3 years now, 3 years straight. Every single week on Monday, I always feel like we're not going to have anything to talk about this week. And every single week, there's always news. And that's awesome. And next year's the election. So holy cow, is that going to be crazy? Oh, man. What a world. All right, guys. Love you all. I'll see you guys on Monday for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out, y'all.